Have you ever wondered how the mafia rose from small street gangs to powerful criminal empires that controlled cities across America? In this video, we will explore the history of the American Mafia, a story of power, money, loyalty, and fear. You will learn how Italian immigrants built secret societies, how famous mob bosses like Al Capone and Lucky Luciano ruled, and how the U.S. government finally fought back. This story will not only teach you history, but also help you improve your English listening, vocabulary, and pronunciation through clear storytelling. So sit back, listen carefully, and let's uncover the dark and fascinating world of the American Mafia. The story of the American Mafia begins in Sicily, an island off the coast of Italy. For hundreds of years, Sicily was ruled by foreign powers, Spanish, French, and others. The people were poor, and the government often ignored them. To protect their families, Sicilians created secret groups. These groups were based on loyalty, family, and silence. This secret code was called omertà. Never speak to the police, never betray your friends. At first, the mafia in Sicily was about survival and protection, but slowly it turned into something darker, about power, money, and fear. The move to America. In the late 1800s, millions of Italians left Italy to escape poverty. They came to the United States, especially New York City, Chicago, and New Orleans. They hoped for a better life, but life in America was hard. They faced discrimination, low pay, and dangerous neighborhoods. In these places, small gangs formed. Some offered protection, while others took advantage of people. Among these immigrants were Sicilians, who brought with them the mafia's code of loyalty and silence. They soon began to organize small crime groups, doing gambling, loan sharking, and protection services. One of the first known mafia leaders was Giuseppe Morello, known as the Clutch Hand. He led one of the first Italian crime families in New York. These groups started small, but they were growing, waiting for a big opportunity. And that opportunity came in 1920 with Prohibition.
Before alcohol was banned, mafia families were already controlling illegal gambling, extortion, and smuggling. They worked quietly, mostly within Italian neighborhoods. The mafia structure began to form. At the top was the boss, the ultimate decision-maker. Below him, the underboss managed operations. The capos, or captains, controlled small groups. The soldiers carried out orders. And at the bottom were the associates, not official members, but helpers. Each family controlled a certain territory. Violence was used only when necessary, because the mafia believed in control through fear, not chaos. The American government didn't pay much attention yet, but in the streets, everyone knew the mafia was gaining power. Then, in 1920, everything changed.
In 1920, the United States made alcohol illegal. This law was called Prohibition. The goal was to stop people from drinking, but instead, it created the biggest business opportunity for criminals in history. People still wanted to drink. Bars went underground and were called speakeasies. The mafia saw this chance and began bootlegging, making, buying, and selling illegal alcohol. This is when small gangs became rich and powerful. And one man became a legend, Al Capone.
Al Capone, the King of Chicago. Al Capone, also called Scarface,
was born in New York to Italian immigrants. He later moved to Chicago, where he built a criminal empire during Prohibition. His gang controlled liquor, gambling, and prostitution. At his peak, Capone made around $100 million a year, an incredible amount at that time. He became both feared and admired. To some, he was a Robin Hood figure who helped the poor. To others, he was a ruthless killer who ordered hundreds of murders, including the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1929. Capone's success showed everyone how powerful organized crime could become. Across America, other gangs followed the same model, and soon the Mafia had spread to every major city. But inside this growing empire, another man was planning something even bigger: to unite the Mafia families and make them work like a corporation. His name was Lucky Luciano.
After years of bloody gang wars, Charles Lucky Luciano decided that chaos was bad for business. He wanted order. He wanted cooperation between families instead of endless violence. In 1931, Luciano formed the Commission. It was a national council of mafia bosses from all over the United States: New York, Chicago, Detroit, and others. They agreed to share territories, respect boundaries, and avoid unnecessary wars. This was the birth of modern, organized crime in America. The Five Families of New York. Luciano also helped organize the Five Families of New York City. 1. The Bonanno family. 2. The Colombo family. 3. The Gambino family. 4. The Genovese family. 5. The Lucchese family. Each family had its own business, leaders, and soldiers, but all worked under the Commission. They made money from construction, restaurants, labor unions, and even Hollywood. They lived by the code of omerta: silence, loyalty, and respect. Breaking that code meant death. This was the golden age. The Mafia reached deep into politics, police, and businesses. Many people admired them. Movies and newspapers turned gangsters into heroes. But behind the glamour, the violence never stopped.
As time went on, the Mafia became even more secretive. They started investing in Las Vegas casinos, earning millions through gambling. They used unions to control workers and businesses, especially in construction and shipping. New powerful bosses rose, like Carlo Gambino in New York and Santo Trafantike in Florida. The Mafia had influence in almost every major city, from Chicago to Los Angeles. But something else was happening. The FBI was watching. For years, the Mafia was considered a rumor, but in 1957, police discovered a secret meeting of mob bosses in Appalachia, New York. It was clear now: organized crime was real and powerful. In the 1960s, the FBI officially began its war on the Mafia. They started using new laws, hidden microphones, and undercover agents. For the first time, the Mafia faced a real enemy.
In the 1980s, the U.S. government passed the RICO Act, a law that allowed them to arrest Mafia bosses for crimes committed by their members. With this new weapon, the FBI hit hard. They used wiretaps, informants, and witness protection programs. Famous Mafia members began to betray their own families to save themselves. The Mafia's secret code, omerta, was broken. The fall of the families. One of the biggest blows came with the Mafia Commission trial in 1986. The heads of New York's 5 families were arrested and sent to prison for life. Their power was never the same again. By the 1990s, movies like The Godfather and Goodfellas made the mafia famous, but in real life, it was falling apart. Younger generations didn't want to live that life anymore. The old bosses were gone, and with them, the old mafia rules.
Today, the mafia is not what it used to be. The large families that once controlled cities have become smaller, quieter, and more cautious. They still exist, especially in parts of New York, Chicago, and New Jersey, but their influence is limited. Modern mafia members are involved in cybercrime, drug trade, money laundering, and other forms of white-collar crime. They avoid violence because it attracts attention. Instead, they use technology and business fronts to hide illegal money. The FBI still watches them, but the mafia's golden era is long gone. What remains is a shadow of the past, a story of power, loyalty, and tragedy.
The story of the American Mafia is not just about crime. It is a story about immigration, ambition, power, and greed. It shows how people can rise from nothing, but also how corruption destroys everything. From Sicily's poor villages to New York's skyscrapers, the Mafia left a mark on history in both fear and fascination. We learn that no empire built on lies and violence can last forever. We also learn how history helps us improve our English by listening, understanding, and thinking about real human stories. If you listened carefully, you didn't just learn about the Mafia. You practiced listening to simple, clear, historical English. You learned new words like bootlegging, extortion, loyalty, commission, and witness protection. Each story you listen to helps you grow your vocabulary, your understanding, and your love for learning. The rise and fall of the American Mafia remind us that power without truth always ends in destruction. Thank you for watching, and keep learning English through history, because every story teaches us something new.